strange findings and discoveries on Mount Ararat in former Armenia in Turkey that is unknown to be found there. To the south of the Caucasus and the Black Sea, near the eastern border of Turkey, is the small Republic of Armenia. Until the 1930s, few had dared to explore its territories because of the abnormal territory, lack of roads, and the primitive instinct of local bloodshed. However, the English explorer Carvel Wells managed to penetrate this mysterious country, study its old monuments and monasteries, and rise to the top of Mount Ararat, where the famous monastery was located, which is considered the cradle of the world and the cradle of the world perennial national outbreak of all Armenians. And indeed, local traditions insist that this country has been the cradle of all humanity. They even show the location of the earth's paradise, but also the lake where the waters were withdrawn after the biblical flood, the great deluge of Noah. The Armenians claim to be the descendants of Japheth, the son of Noah, who, according to the Bible, accumulated with his ark right at the top of Mount Ararat, and there was then built the small town of Kiazim, which belongs to the title of the world's oldest city. On the tallest crown of the mountain, the Saint Jacob of Akori monastery was built, where, according to tradition, a piece of wood was kept from Noah's Ark. After all, this tradition was also known to the Byzantines. Eusebius of Caesarea, Saint Eusebius, said that the ark, whose relics remain in Armenia, had sat down on Mount Ararat. Here, in other words. But it's not only the remnant of the ark, Noah's Ark, one of the first relics of Christian faith, allegedly existed in that country. On the Ararat Plateau lies another Polychny discovery called Midzet, and there during the biblical times it was a real natural paradise, but today they have taken steep cliffs, marshes, and few plantations. In the middle of Polychny was the ancient church of the 12 apostles, in which an imitation was kept. The Armenian tradition insists that this garment was the authentic garment worn by Jesus during his witness at Golgotha. The existence of all this all-in law was explained as follows. The Roman soldiers, as the gospel used to say, played, they were gambling to who would win his clothes, who would win Jesus' clothing. A Jew then bought it from the one who won it and brought it to his place, which was the Armenian city of Midzet, in this area, in other words. Armenian bishop holding an ancient gospel and the spear with which, as tradition states, Jesus was rendered. When the Hebrew sister once died, she covered her body with this imitation, and after many years, they opened the grave of Sidonia, as the woman was called, and discovered the imitation intact. And since then, the Armenian tradition says the sacred fabric was kept in the Christian church, which was built for this reason. But there is still a precious heirloom of Christianity. The bishop of the city of Ekiazim maintained with great devotion in an ancient early Christian crypt the spear with which Christ was placed on the cross of the martyr. These sacred relics, for whom Papal Rome did everything to acquire them and carry them back to Italy, have been protected for centuries with self-denial by the Armenians, who were determined to sacrifice their lives in order to keep them in their country. Inside the monastery of Erivan, the Englishman Carvel Wells discovered a wonderful large painting belonging to the famous Flemish painter of Renaissance, Rubens. How this magnificent painting was found on the isolated Caucasus Plateau remains a true mystery. But the bold explorer discovered something even more shocking. In a secluded corner of Armenia, there were 3 villages whose inhabitants were completely different from their other compatriots in both the racial press and in the languages and their clothing. Obviously, they looked like Europeans, but their weapons were the same as the medieval Crusaders and spoke a linguistic idiom that looked greatly like the English language. Members of a strange tribe of Armenia, who are considered descendants of the Crusaders and speak a corrupt type of an English. So, there was no doubt that these people were descendants of the Crusaders of the time of the English King Richard the Lionheart. The mystery of the relics of the Christianity on Mount Ararat remains. So how did these Europeans arrive about 1,000 years ago into this area of the Caucasus Mountains? Why did they settle in these places, and how many managed to stay there alive to this day? And here's the big historical problem which was concerned and still haunts the researchers. The news was published in the newspaper National in Greece on December 1st, 1933. So the big question is, those English-speaking Crusaders descendants were found here in this area of Mount Ararat. Isn't that amazing? Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.